Hi everyone, we're here again doing another program for my dog and me, and this one here is going to be something that's related to the dogs that we have at home. And with me today is Stacey Marendt. She is with the Pymatuning. Tell me who you're with again. Pymatuning?
Pymatuning State Park on the Pennsylvania side.
And what is your title?
My title is an environmental education specialist.
And what does that mean?
So that means that almost every state park in Pennsylvania has an environmental educator, and that means that we provide programming for the public. So we do public programs, we do programs for school groups, we sometimes do outreach where we would go to maybe a senior center home and do a program, sometimes on the history of Pymatuning. Of course, Pymatuning State Park would do history of Pymatuning. And since Pymatuning is mainly consists of a gigantic lake, we do a lot of recreational programs. So we have stand-up paddle boards and kayaks, and we do programming with those, and a pontoon boat.
Okay, we got to go back here a little bit. All right, so the first thing you're with the Pymatuning State Park, and you are based right at Pymatuning?
Yes.
Right there by the, where the ducks walk on the...
No, not where, no, I actually, I'm based in the park office, which is in Jamestown. So it's the very bottom of the park.
Oh, okay, all right. And you're based there, and then, so do you, like, today, if you were with me, where would you be? What would you be doing?
Well, I could be doing a school group program.
Where, at the park?
At the park, yes. We just had a school group come out, and they were second graders, and they did a program with eagles. So they went to 3 different places on the park and were able to see and watch the eagle's nest, and eagles feeding the babies and the eagles hanging out in their nests.
And you do that?
Oh, yes. And
are you someone who does that, or does somebody else? Does everybody have a category that they're in charge of?
No, we do a little bit of everything.
You can do a little bit of all.
So I do work with another full-time educator there, so there's only 2 educators at Pymatuning State Park. Mm-hmm. So me and Jared McGarry, the other environmental educator there, he set up the program where the second graders come out, and they went to the 3 different nests just to view. We were there earlier at the school talking about eagles. And,
okay.
And they did, their teachers had them study all about bald eagles, and then they had a chance to come out to the park, and they were just ecstatic about it.
Well, now, what was the building that I was in? I went down, I was into Linesville, I turned left at the flashing light, and I went down there to something that was run by the University of Pittsburgh, and that was a big, huge place that had fish everywhere and on the wall, and there were tanks downstairs.
Oh, right.
Where was I?
That's
I don't know where I was.
Yeah, that's the Fish and Boat Commission building.
Is that part of you?
That's not, technically that's not in the Pymatuning State Park, but it's right there on the border. So Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission is a different entity from the state parks.
And they're the ones that had that place that I went into where they had all the fish and stuff on the walls and stuff like that.
Yes.
And you're located in Jamestown, you said?
Yeah, the park office is located in Jamestown.
On the water? Are you right on the water in Jamestown?
It's close, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar. I'm thinking, I wonder where in the heck I can find her if I need her. Well, so then, and how big is Pymatuning Lake?
That escaped me, the acreage.
I don't know either. I seem to remember that a long time ago. Maybe it's even on this map. But I know it's doggone huge. It's one of the largest natural lakes well, of course, in Pennsylvania, but a lot of places, isn't it? It's a very beautiful lake.
Yes, and actually, Pymatuning Lake, that used to be a gigantic swamp. And before it was a lake, they grew onions there. They wanted to grow onions. And so they grew onions in this area that is now the lake that were the size of softballs.
Oh my God.
And So that's why now we have the Onion Festival in July.
I didn't know that.
And so Boy Scouts come there. We'll have Boy Scouts there, food vendors. The Boy Scouts are going to make the bloomin' onions. And it's just a whole day kind of dedicated to onions.
And when is that going to be? We might as well get a good plug-in on this.
In July.
In July. And is this every year they do this?
Every year.
Well, that's really neat. I didn't know that. So how did I hook you into doing this? I said to you, what do you know that you can do that has something to do with dogs? And you said to me, you could do...
I said I can talk about dogs and their encounters with wildlife.
Are there a lot of them in Pennsylvania? A lot of encounters of dogs with wildlife? And how do we find out about it?
Well, I would say that there's more encounters with dogs and wildlife out in your own backyard than what there would be in a state park. Because, you know, technically, of course, when you're at a state park with your dog should be on a leash.
Do most people have them on a leash in a state park?
Yes, they do.
Do they?
Most people do, yes. And so that protects not only your dog, but it also protects other people, and it also protects the wildlife.
Sure it does. So I could be finding wildlife that I don't particularly care for that encounter my dog. Now I have a fence around my yard, so at least I have a little bit of protection. I had a dog one time that made thousands of holes in the bottom of my fence. So my fence actually invites all animals in because I can't really secure it, and it's been there a long time. Well, tell us what type of wildlife should I be concerned about as a dog owner?
Well, as a dog owner, I'm also a dog owner, so the one animal that I would be concerned about would probably, and I'm going a little bit off of our...
Well,
I did have raccoons first, right.
Okay.
So raccoons would be the main thing if they're rabid. And so usually you know that if they're kind of staggering and they're out in the daytime, and they don't, like, sometimes people think that they have to be like really drooling,
foaming at the mouth and that,
for all this foam and stuff. But they're rabid raccoons that I've seen, they don't look like that with all the foam. They just look like they're out of place.
In my barn.
So like today, it's a nice sunny day, and if they're kind of out and they're staggering around and they're, you know, they're just not acting normally the way they should be acting, because raccoons usually come out at dusk and at nighttime. And but again, if your dog is vaccinated for rabies, which they should be,
better be,
right? Then not saying it shouldn't be a problem. I mean, you still don't want your dog to get bit or get near them. But raccoons are one of the main mammals in Pennsylvania that carry rabies. They're up there. They're like almost first on the list.
If my dog corners a raccoon somewhere, I mean, if they're out in the middle of the field, if I've got some crazy dog, I'm not going to let my dog go after the raccoon. But they sometimes, the dog can try and corner the raccoon in some place on the farm or on the property or something like that.
Right. Well, raccoons, and like any animal, if they are cornered and they don't have, if they have a tree to go up, they'll go up a tree. Raccoons will climb the trees. But if they are cornered and they can't get out and they feel there's no escape for them, they will fight. So any animal will do that.
I had a dog one time get into an encounter with a raccoon and did not bite my dog, but it was a collie with a long nose. And boy, got that dog twice, one across the nose and one above the eyes, and he was very lucky because those little claws of those raccoons can do a lot of damage on a face.
And what did you do then?
Got the dog in the house, treated it. It didn't need stitches or anything, thank God. But it was really a mess. It bled like, you can imagine. But yeah, they are an issue.
So you washed out the wound,
right?
And you cleaned it, and
yeah, that was about all I had to do. I wanted to ask you something about. Do people still try and trap baby raccoons so they, oh my God, if I God you had one.
No live animals. But just,
Thank God. You see me jerk. That was good. Yes, my cameraman saw me jerk. I don't like these guys.
You don't like raccoons?
No, because I have to they're cute as can be, but I have to deal with them. Then they get into my barn because they love cat food. They're a real problem with that. And then I end up having to trap them because there's no other way to get them out, so I trap them. And they do so much destruction, honest to God. They upset the water dish. They put mud in the water dish. Everything's dirty, crap everywhere. And then I say, okay, I've given you a chance to leave, but you haven't left, now I'm gonna have to catch you.
Well, they're opportunists.
Yes, they are, and they're very good at it.
Trash, anything like that. And they like to hang out at campsites, and I'm sure campers can attest to that. You know.
Yeah, they're a mess.
The raccoons that, when you're sleeping in your tent at night and they're up on top of your picnic table, and that's why you have to take any food or anything that you have, make sure you don't leave it at night. We accidentally left we went camping one time and left our toothbrushes on top of the picnic table, and we the next morning you could tell, like, the raccoons, must have been trying to brush their teeth or whatever. But anyway, they got a hold of the toothbrushes, and of course we threw them away and had to get new ones. But
hey, if I can, let me ask you this too, because the guy that worked for me one time got caught doing this. We were trying to displace a raccoon, and I think that's against the law.
it is.
Because we caught one, and I lived in, I shouldn't even admit to this, but we caught one, this is years ago, so I can't be held. It's probably the time period has elapsed. But we caught one, and then we didn't want to kill it. So we took it down on the road between Conneaut and Andover, and down there where the railroad tracks are, and took it down on the side and let it loose and got rid of it. Because they used to say that if you catch a raccoon and let it go, it'll come back. I don't know whether that's true. I was going to put white paint on one time to see if it did come back. But anyways, and he got pulled over by the state police because you're not allowed to just displace him someplace like that, I don't believe.
No, you're not allowed. That is illegal, and a big part of that is because they're rabies carriers.
I hate them. They're my heavens. Well, how much of a problem are they to the dogs? They really are a problem then to the dogs. Will they bother the dogs unless the dogs bother them?
No.
Generally just leave them alone.
Right. So, and that's the case with all animals.
Yeah.
Wild animals are not going to bother your dog unless your dog's bothering them. So with the case of, when you're in a state park, your dog's being on the leash, and, there you have your dog controlled.
Mm-hmm.
But, there is always a case, like, it could happen, where you do see a rabid raccoon, and you'll have to, make sure you steer clear of that. Don't let your dog near it.
Do most raccoons eventually become rabid? No?
No.
Okay, I was, so we can't say a blanket all raccoons are rabid?
Correct. No,
Okay,
definitely not. But they are the mammal that is the highest carrier of rabies.
And of course, if my dog, I could be wrong on this, correct me, but if my dog gets bitten by a raccoon, then I'm just going to take the precautions, and if I don't, I'm going to maybe give my dog rabies shots. Would I have to do that?
Well, your dog should already be vaccinated.
Vaccinated, yeah.
Yeah. And so hopefully it would not get bit by a rabid raccoon, but you also have to be careful too, because we can also get rabies.
Yes, and we certainly don't want that to happen. That's
right.
A miserable thing. What else should we be concerned about as far as the raccoon? Are we going on to the next one?
Well, we can go on to the next one unless you have any other questions.
Is there anything I'm forgetting to ask you?
I don't know.
Okay, well, let's go on to the next one. We'll see what comes up.
So I did kind of want to talk about the next animal that does not get rabies.
And what is that?
Do you know?
No, I don't. But now that you said that to me, since I have a feeling, I think I do know.
No, I think you do know. It's the little critter that you told me that you don't like them either.
I don't like the possums. Is it a possum? They
Right.
don't get rabies?
Nope. So this one's not alive, so you might like this one a little better.
I didn't. The other one wasn't alive either, but I didn't like that one either. I don't like them at all. Where's his tail?
When they do the pelts, I don't think they're
That's
able
the
to
ugly
do the
part
tail.
of them.
I
Possum, right?
Yeah, it's a possum.
But I thought they were mostly white.
Well, their face is all white, but yeah, their face is white, but they're mostly gray.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, well, yeah, gray or white. Well, now they're a problem too, aren't they?
A problem for what?
Are they going to hurt my dog?
Well, again, if your dog goes after a possum and it has no way to escape, it could hurt your dog, yes.
And his escape sometimes is to play possum.
Right.
And they do that.
Yeah, they do that. They play possum. So they'll, let's say they can't escape, and they don't see or hear very well, but they smell well. They can smell, but so they may not hear a predator approaching. And so if your dog runs up to a possum, and you think, well, why didn't the possum run? The possum may not have noticed them, because your dog's real fast going up to them, and they can play dead. And so they play dead, and they'll kind of curl up on their side, and they can be playing dead for up to 4 hours.
Oh, I never knew that. I had one in my yard about 2 months ago. 5 o'clock in the morning, my dogs were going crazy, and I look and trapped down the back of my yard as a possum, and we didn't play that game. I grabbed them by a leash and brought them both up the house because I didn't want to have an encounter. What is baby season for possums? Whenever they're can they have babies all year?
They're having. I know that their babies are about this big now, and so their babies do hang out with the moms. For a while, and sometimes when the mom, they get hit on the road. Unfortunately, they get hit on the road a lot, and then the babies, they don't have, anywhere to go. I know you were talking about tamarack.
Right.
So tamarack does take baby possums, but make sure you don't pick up a dead possum and think that it's dead, or if a little baby's playing dead, it may not be. You may think it's dead, but it just might be playing dead. And you can pick them up, and they're, and that people have thrown them away in the trash or whatever before because they thought they were dead.
And they're not.
And they're not.
Huh. How big will they get?
About the size of a cat.
Huh.
But I do have something else I wanted to show you because I love showing my props.
Where do you get all these props?
Oh, well, we buy them. Now this is a replica. Acorn Carolina Biological has a lot. Possums have the most teeth out of any mammal in
Get
Pennsylvania.
out of here.
They have about 50 teeth.
Open that up. I never knew that.
So they are omnivores, but they do...
Omnivores meaning?
They eat just about anything, like raccoons.
Raccoons eat anything.
Raccoons eat anything.
Including cat food. Do possums eat cat food?
I think they probably would. I'm not completely 100% sure about that.
Well, certainly raccoons will. Okay, so what is it called?
Omnivore.
And that means that they eat...
They eat anything. We're omnivores.
Grass?
Yeah, we're omnivores.
We don't eat grass, but we eat vegetables.
We eat vegetables. Some people eat grass.
Well, they do. Some people are a little weird.
Yeah, they eat meat. They eat, the possums. They'll eat bird eggs. They'll eat small mammals if they're small enough.
Will a possum rob a nest of another animal?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. And I've had them in my chicken coop before too.
They'll go in there and kill the baby chickens?
They'll do that.
Get the eggs?
And eat the eggs. Yeah. I think they've been known to kill adult chickens too. So some people really don't like the possum. Hey, but you know what? You didn't ask me a question, which I thought you would.
What?
On why the possums don't get rabies.
Why don't possums, Stacey, why don't possums get rabies?
Because their body temperature is lower than other mammals.
Really?
So
and that keeps them from getting rabies?
Mm-hmm. Their body
Wow.
temperature is about 95 degrees.
And that keeps them from getting rabies.
Mm-hmm. Like, do you know the temperature, dogs, they're
102, 101, 102?
right.
I think that's somewhere around that.
And of course, we're 98.
Sure.
It's around there. And not just, just a couple of degrees lower prevents them from getting the rabies.
Huh. Well, we shouldn't kill them because they also take care of, wait, what do they eat? They eat fleas and ticks. Ticks.
Yep, they do eat ticks. Mm-hmm.
That's why we really should never kill them. We need them to kill the ticks in the world.
I don't really think you should kill any.
I don't either. Stace, but doesn't it make you angry when you see some idiot coming down the road and there's some poor animal crossing the road who doesn't, all they had to do was slow down and let the animal go past, and then they think it's really cool to see how fast they can go to hit the animal and sail that animal up into the air.
Well,
I don't like that.
That's, a lot of people mainly do that with snakes. They'll swerve to hit a snake on purpose. You do too, huh?
What? No, I don't even go near. Why would they, why would they swerve to miss a snake?
No, swerve to hit a snake.
Yes.
Did I say miss?
Yes, you said miss. So to hit a snake.
Right. They'll swerve to hit it because they hate them. People don't like snakes.
Most people hate snakes.
Well, snakes are definitely absolutely critical, all animals are for, the food web and the habitat, and, everything is connected.
If I have one of these let's go back for a minute. If I have a raccoon and I can't get rid of it, should I call you? Or do I call the Game Commission?
No, don't call me. We're not in the business of, trapping animals. You could call the Game Commission or pest control in the area.
Okay, so what about if I have the possum? Same thing.
The same thing.
What if I want to get rid of that possum? I can call someone to come and trap the skunks for me. Will people come and trap my possum?
Probably.
I guess they would, wouldn't they?
Mm-hmm.
I've had a guy come in and trap skunks because they can be a pain in the butt too. Because we don't want to be sprayed or anything like that.
Right.
So that's what the issue is there.
So how, just getting back on, so we're kind of
digressing, but that's okay.
Getting ahead of ourselves too. So if your dog does get bit, or you get bit, you do want to call the Pennsylvania Department of Health. And let's say you would get bit.
For a raccoon or a possum?
For a raccoon.
Okay.
Or any animal that you think might have rabies. You call the Pennsylvania Department of Health. They'll probably tell you to go to the doctor right away. But they will probably ask, questions. They do keep track of that. Pennsylvania Department of Health keeps track of, how many people have been bitten and what species, what animal
I think
was.
you can go on their website and find that.
Yes.
It tells you the county and the number of animals and such that have been found or have been with rabies or whatever. I think they put that out, is it every 3 months or every month? But they put it out pretty often if you're really interested in that type of information. Huh. All right, so we've done, the raccoon was bearable, the possum, thank God he was, ugh. Whenever I met that one, I didn't like it. What else should we be concerned about?
And actually, all of these aren't really concerns though. I mean, because when we say concerned, that's kind of, because raccoons, like you said, if you see them staggering around, but your dog should be vaccinated, or your dog should be on a leash if you're in the state park. Possums don't carry rabies, but of course, if, like we said, if your dog is going after an animal and they feel they can't defend themselves, they'll bite, they'll fight. I mean, that's their defense mechanism. If or not play dead, or so other animals, groundhogs.
I don't like them either. I don't like any of those things.
You don't like it?
No, the groundhogs are a pain in my butt. Oh, they're really miserable. They have all those big holes that people step in and all that kind of stuff. That's the biggest problem on a farm, was the groundhog holes.
Yeah.
Are they dangerous? Will they bite?
Yes. Any animal will bite if they have no. So, first thing a groundhog will do is they'll run. And if they, your dog's coming after them, they're going to run. They're going to try to get in their hole where they're safe. But if they can't, and they feel they can't get to their hole in time, they will turn around and they will fight. So they will bite your dog and give it some good scratches.
Well, I know that the raccoon has unbelievable claws. I've seen that, as I told you, with the dog's nose in that. Does the raccoon and do the possum have the same, not the raccoon, the possum and the other one we just discussed, do they also do injury with their hands or their paws and their back paws? Whenever you had that skin up here a minute ago, the claws on that were pretty severe. What did you just have? I think it was the...
I had the possum.
Bring the possum back here again. I didn't like him, but he can come back. He can only come back to visit for a moment. Yeah, look at his the nails on him.
I didn't see.
No, aren't there some on the end? No, it must be on the other one then.
Maybe the raccoon.
It's the raccoon. Oh yeah.
Yeah, some of the claws are still. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's some on this one too.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen dogs really get that.
Yeah, scratch, bite. That's what they use for defense. Groundhogs can give you a pretty good scratch too. Teeth, claws.
So I should be careful with groundhogs too.
Yeah.
Are they out? They're out all the time.
Yeah.
The possums are out a lot too. The raccoons are basically the ones that are only out at night or in the dusk or dawn.
Right. Now, and don't get the wrong idea either.
Okay.
I'm not doing this to say that we should be like afraid of all animals that you see. This is just things that could happen. But yeah, it's not oh my gosh, there's a groundhog, let's
run away. No,
right.
no, I'm sure of that. So what are some other things that we should be concerned about with our household pets?
Well, let's see. We were talking about
what have we covered here?
Raccoons,
Because we've talked
possums.
about this.
Oh, well, we didn't completely cover skunks.
Skunks.
So, do you know what a skunk will do before they spray?
Call me on the telephone and tell me they're going to spray me.
Yeah.
Probably not. No, what do they do?
They do give a warning.
Do they lift their tail up?
And even a little more than that.
A squeal.
No, so raccoons, they give you plenty of warning, but of course a dog, they're not going to pay attention to that.
No.
They just go right up to the raccoon. So, but the raccoon, and again, their defense mechanism is spraying, before.
The raccoon, or no, the skunk.
I mean the skunk. Of course, they will fight if they have to, like any animal, but their defense is the spraying. And they can spray up to 10 feet.
Oh, yay. I had a dog get it twice in 2 days. That was exciting.
What did you, well, okay, hold on. So back to the, the warning.
Yeah, what is the warning?
So skunk, so let's say a dog's coming up to a skunk, and a skunk
And they will go after a skunk, because I had a black and white cat at the barn. So naturally, the black and white skunk look the same.
So they'll kind of, they'll look at you, right? And they'll make eye contact.
The skunk will.
Yep. So they're looking at you, or the dog, and they're like, "I see you over there. You better not come any closer." And they might be watching you. And then let's say you start coming closer, and they'll stomp their feet, like, "Hey, I'm
Get
here.
out of here.
I'm here. You need to leave. I'm warning you." And they'll stomp their feet. And then let's say they're facing you. Well, then they'll make sure they turn around, of course, so that the butt is facing you. So then they turn around, and then they look behind them, watching you.
I gave you a chance.
And then the tail goes up, and then they're warning, and then like if you're still approaching, or they're threatened, and then they'll like spray.
Will they bite you, a skunk?
I would think that they if you pick them up,
I would think so, but
Right.
do all skunks spray or stink?
They all spray.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Huh.
if your dog gets sprayed, so the one thing you don't want to do is wash them with soap and water. So what did you do when your skunks got?
Well, I didn't use tomato juice either, and that used to be the old theory too.
Right.
That doesn't work. The only thing that works is the combination, the universal combination for it, which is the combination of peroxide. I have a bottle of peroxide this big in my basement, and I have probably 2 or 3 bottles of it because...
For that purpose.
Right, once
Yeah.
my dog got skunked twice in a short period of time. Now so I had the peroxide, and then you add to that the baking powder, and then you add to that the Dawn for dishes, which cuts the grease and all that stuff, and that works.
Right.
The bad news on that is, which they don't tell you, once you put it on, you should leave it on for a little while and not just rinse it off right away. And they also don't tell you that no matter what, chances are afterwards when the dog gets wet, for a while you're still going to pick up that smell.
Yeah.
But that's the universal antidote to a dog being sprayed, and it does work. Tomato juice, you're wasting your money. Heinz 57 tomato juice isn't going to cut it, isn't going to help you. But a lot of people still believe that that's what you use for a skunk spray. And there's a lot of trappers around here that will trap skunk for you. A lot of trappers around here have a good deal. They are just talking about trapping and about animals and that. They only charge you if they get the animals. It isn't like someone sets up traps and then they come back and you haven't gotten anything. If you don't have anything, most of them will charge you.
Yeah.
So what else do I have to know about a skunk?
That's about it.
No, they're not rabid either.
They can be, yes.
Can they be rabid?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How many babies do skunks have?
Oh, boy. Oh.
I wonder how many that is. I bet they have 4 or 5.
I didn't, top of my head, I'm not recalling that, but yeah.
But that'd be a pretty fair guess. What else do I need to know about skunks?
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, you know, they spray, they can get rabies. So when they have rabies, I mean, it'll be kind of the same as how the raccoon acts. You know, they're going to be out in the middle of the day. Skunks, usually you see them at dusk. Mm-hmm. So they'd be just kind of like staggering around and just not acting like a skunk should act. And, you know, generally, like, all these animals that I've been mentioning, they have different defense tactics. And, but if they're not running, first of all, they're going to run. But if they can't run, then they'll employ other defense tactics, which, and that is you've probably heard the fight or flight.
Right.
So first they'll try to run, and then it's either fight or play dead, or climb a tree or spray.
You know what? I wish people would just let the animals alone. If they're not hurting you and they're not bothering you, you don't have to kill them either.
Right.
That's where I get angry. I want to get a gun so I can kill the animals. What? What are you thinking? You don't need to do that. If there's a reason because it's rabid or it's causing harm to someone,
Right.
or something like that, that's one thing. But just go outside, and people do this, and people aren't going to like my comments, but it doesn't bother me whether they like them or not. I don't see any purpose in feeling that you have to go out with a gun and shoot wildlife. I don't get that. That doesn't compute in my mind.
Well, that doesn't compute in my mind either.
No, and especially if they're not bothering you, let them the heck alone.
Right.
Especially the possums, for heaven's sakes, they take care of the ticks. That's why we have to be nice to them. Is there any...
Well, I live out in the country, and you know, I don't have a problem with a lot of wild animals around my yard. Part of that, I think, maybe is because I do have a dog, and I think that they probably smell the dog around the area. And so some animals aren't going to come in if your dog leaves their scent around the property, which helps.
Most of the wild animals, if I have a dog chained outside, they're not going to go after that chained dog either, are they?
No.
No, and I think people think they are. That if you've got a chained dog, then one of these wild animals, the little ones that come out, could hurt them, but I don't think they do. They don't want to mess with them either.
No, they don't. They want to stay. They want to stay far away from us as they can.
Do we have many fox in this area? Are they harmless? They'll bite too if they have to.
If they have to, yeah, and they could be another carrier of rabies also. So that's one of the main things that you have to
Be concerned about. We have coyotes too. Mm-hmm. I've seen those on the property.
Right.
Huh. What else do I need to be concerned about these animals that are going to bother me? I don't like really anything we've discussed.
Well, what do you like?
None of those things.
Rabbits?
Huh?
Rabbits?
Rabbits, I do like rabbits. Rabbits are nice.
You know what dogs can get from, oh darn, I can't remember it now. They get some kind of worm from the rabbit.
From eating rabbit poop?
No, it's from, it gets on the rabbits, I believe it's a blowfly.
Could be.
They lay their eggs in the rabbit hole, like along the edge, and dog gets in there and can get that, and it's really gross.
When they're messing around trying to get to the rabbit's place and get to the babies.
Yeah, and it can get in the dog, and it kind of buries, like under the skin, and makes this really big, like lump on the dog where it's living on the dog. It's gross.
I'll have to call Dr. Pohl and ask him about that stuff because he's always pulling things out. Hey, what about my most unfavored things? Are there a lot of snakes in this area? I don't like them at all. Never.
But you do like rabbits.
I do like rabbits.
Okay.
I like the birds. I like. No, I had somebody in here. Susie DiArma was in here with Dorothy, and they did eagles, owls. Oh, something else. And hawks. And I liked all them.
But you know what? You just brought up a good point because you're like, I don't like any of them. But you don't kill them.
No.
So you don't go out and say, well, I just don't like you. And so you're in my yard or, I'm just going to shoot you just because.
No, so, I couldn't do that. I would wreck a car to avoid hitting a chipmunk. That's how disgusting I am. And whenever I'm driving a school bus, I'm sure the bus company fears that I ever get a chipmunk in front of me because I'm probably going to have trouble. I don't like to kill anything just for the sake of killing it. I don't see it. And then after I kill it, then I still feel bad because I killed it because I really didn't want to kill it. I'm not one who aims for it.
Right.
Now, snakes, I've never killed a snake, and I don't think I want to because I don't want to hear that thump as I run over. But are there a lot of poison? There's not a lot of poisonous snakes. In fact, doesn't Crawford County have less poisonous snakes? See, that's a fact. You didn't think I knew that. Crawford County has less poisonous snakes, I think, in most counties in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people, so going back to Pymatuning again, we have a lot of water snakes.
Don't like them.
They're a grouchy snake. Definitely grouchy. They can be aggressive. And
are they in the water out there too? Of course they are. Mm-hmm. Are they by the swimming areas? They could be.
They could be.
Yeah, they get down near there. I know they do. Okay.
Right. But if most of the time, if you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone. So I see them like sunning up on rocks and in some of the shrubbery and everything. And if you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone. Now, I know that we're going to have people say, that's not necessarily true because I've had a water snake come after me before. So they, like I said,
they'll wrap around you a little bit sometimes too.
They're grouchy snakes and they're more aggressive. So, but they're water snakes and they're non-venomous.
Okay.
So sometimes people say, well, they're copperheads or they're water moccasins, and neither one of them is correct. The water snake can have different pattern, like be a little bit colorful in patterns, especially when they're small. But a lot of times, though, when they're sunning, their coloration kind of turns really dark. So water snakes can be pretty dark. But I've heard all kinds of stories, though, about water snakes falling into fishermen's boats. And
I would be abandoning ship. That's all I would need.
But they're not venomous. So if you would happen to get, now it is illegal to kill, snakes in a state park. So
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean,
It's probably illegal to kill anything in a state park, isn't it?
unless you're hunting or
And
unless you
unless
have a
your
permit
life
for
is
the-
in danger, but I don't think you'd be killing anything in a state park, for heaven's sakes.
Well,
Well, people do.
yes. And they'll kill water snakes if they're around. But water snakes, I mean, of course they eat fish, and anything else maybe that's kind of hanging out around the water, they'll eat that. And but water moccasins live down in like Georgia and the warmer
Yeah, we don't see
areas.
those.
So no water moccasins and no copperheads. So copperheads generally hang out in rocky areas. So they're not really, copperheads don't really hang out like in the water or on the water's edge.
Is there anything else we need to discuss? Because I've got some questions to ask you about what you do. But is there
Okay.
any other animals we have to discuss?
I don't think so. I mean, I think the point is that if you leave them alone, they leave you alone. No animals are out to get you or your dog. So mainly it's your dog running up to them.
So if people want to know more about what's happening in the state parks, what do they do? Call the state parks? How do they do that?
We do have a website. It is Visit PA Parks, or you just go on to, this is my patch here.
Yes, I see that. Pennsylvania DCNR.
DCNR, Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. And you just type DCNR in, and it'll bring you to a website, which is a wealth of information. So it'll give you maps of all the parks in Pennsylvania, and then let's say you want to go to Pymatuning. You want to go to Pymatuning State Park, and you can bring up a map. You can see they have like what's there to do at Pymatuning. So fishing, geocaching, camping, walking, bird watching, swimming at the beaches. All these things that you could do at Pymatuning.
There's a lot to offer, Pymatuning.
There's a lot to offer. Well, in any state park, I think any state parks in Pennsylvania has a lot to offer.
I think they do too, and I don't think people take advantage of it. I think they have in recent years more than they used to. But I think a lot of camping occurs now in the state parks and all that. There's people that like it. And it's inexpensive as opposed to sometimes going to private campgrounds and stuff like that.
Oh, right, yeah. I know from being a camper that the state parks, Pennsylvania state parks, comparing them to a private area, they're so much nicer. I mean, the campsites are spaced at a nice space apart where you're not just right on top of another camper, and the areas are clean. We got the maintenance and just making sure that they're clean, the trash is picked up and mowed, and just really so much nicer. And it's less expensive.
Yeah.
And then you go into the wash areas, the bathrooms. The bathrooms are clean, and they get cleaned every day. And
funny you say that. I went on the end of a road one time because it was an access to go down to a place to go fishing, and I thought, oh, this is going to be a hellhole down here. It's just no one's ever going to check it. My God, the bathroom was cleaner than most bathrooms where you go. The place was cleaned up. It was picked up. People really, they take a lot of care in the state parks. People don't realize that. I think people sit back and criticize everything that the state does. But one of the things that I think the state does so well is the state parks. They really take good care of them. They really do.
Oh, we definitely do. And, I haven't been to all the state parks.
How many
in
are there?
Pennsylvania. There's used to be 121, but
state
now,
parks in the state of Pennsylvania?
but now we even have new ones that were added on the eastern part of the state.
Wow.
And so, even today, we're still adding state parks.
So our state parks are under the DCNR.
Yes.
Is the DCNR a national organization that all state parks in all the different states are under? Or is that just us?
No, that's just Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
So of course, DCNR is on the state level. And then you have, of course, you have your local level, your state level, and then your national level. So your national level would be your national parks like
Like
Gettysburg.
Rushmore, something like that. Rushmore?
But yeah, and I was
Anything like
thinking,
that.
I was thinking in Pennsylvania,
Right.
like a national park. Gettysburg is a good example. And then your local parks, just any, local parks around here, even your local city parks, more localized.
Why did you want to do this? I mean, this job that you have?
That's an awesome question because...
Yeah, I mean, I wonder, I know you, of course, we both have therapy dogs. That's our connection, but why did you do this?
So I grew up in the country, and a lot of the times my solitude was, going out in the woods. So I would be out in the woods for hours at a time by myself down at the creek. And I would look at things and find things, and I didn't know what they were. Like looking under rocks in the creek, and you see like macroinvertebrates and little insects and everything. I didn't know what they were, but they fascinated me. And I thought, well, this is really cool. But being out in nature like that, like my solitude, getting away from my problems, as a teenager from, school or from parents or whatever.
Sure.
And that's where I would be. And I would find peace in that. But I also always felt that connection. This is, I don't want it to sound like cliche or, sappy or anything.
We won't blame you. Tell us anyways.
But, this is our world. And, people say, well, we have been given dominion over the animals in the world, and that doesn't mean that you shoot them. That doesn't mean that because we have, did you think maybe you have authority over it, that that we destroy it. It's our world. It's what's been, and we live here too.
Right.
So, and the more that I learn, and I'm always learning. I'm always learning something new. And even it doesn't matter how old you are, you're always going to learn something new. And then relearn.
You mean that's encouraging for me? I can still learn.
Yeah, and then relearn things that you forgot. So you're always learning something. But just how everything is so connected together, how we are connected, and I think a lot of people don't get that. They don't get that connection of why, why shouldn't I, like you buy a new house and it has a wetlands, why shouldn't I just fill in that wetlands? Why? And they don't get the connection. And so hopefully with my position, sometimes maybe I can give a little bit of that connection, so maybe this is why. And give a little bit of that, wow, I didn't know that. That's really cool.
Well, you can't fault somebody who doesn't know right and wrong, as far as that's concerned. So a lot of us is our need to educate. That's why I do all these programs, because I believe that people need to learn something every day. Unfortunately, a lot of people aren't like you and I that care about learning everything. But I guess if we keep trying, they may learn. And may get a little bit better.
Well, snakes is, how much time do we have?
We have time.
So that's why, snakes was always one of my favorite programs to do, because many people...
Wait a minute, good thing I didn't... No, Stacey, I'm not doing snakes. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt that. Go ahead.
Well, and
why?
Because so many people hate snakes. And, but snakes are such an important part, how I said, everything is connected and everything ties together. And again, snakes, like any animal, snakes are not out to get you. So they don't, you're walking along and the snake's like, oh, there's a human, I'm going to go bite them just because I'm a snake. And that's not what they do. And some people just, they don't like the snakes because they're creepy. So going about towards why did I choose to do what I do? So back to snakes again. So when I was a kid, my mom, she hates snakes. So whenever I would mow the yard and I was on the riding mower, I saw a snake, I would run over that sucker because it's a snake. But why? you know.
Everybody does.
Everybody does it. So, but then the more I learned, and you know, I'm like, well, why did I run over that? There was really no reason to run over the snake. The snake's just minding his own, you know, her, minding their own business in the grass, and they were trying to get away, and I ran them over. But snakes, again, they play such an important role. Mm-hmm. You know, you said you like hawks and you like eagles. Well, snakes are a big part of their diet.
Absolutely.
So
it all goes.
It all goes around.
Yeah.
So snakes eat, they get eaten, and it's all part of everything that, you know, we need. We need animals and nature in order to survive. So if we don't have, again, cliche maybe, if we don't have clean drinking water and we don't have, you know, plants and everything that help us to breathe, it doesn't matter what kind of medicine you have. If, you know, you don't have anything that's clean or drinking water that's clean, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, and I just feel that it needs to be respected and protected.
How do people get in touch with you?
They can call Pymatuning State Park office
and ask for you?
And ask for me or Jared. Jared McGarry is my coworker, and we both do programming. So this summer...
How would they know what programs they could have?
Well, we do, it's hard to say because we do quite a variety of different programming. Mm-hmm. I've just been up to the library at Linesville, and I did a program for the little ones on, oh geez, I almost forgot what I did, on eagles, because eagles are so popular around Pymatuning State Park.
Sure.
And I haven't done them yet because I'm new at Pymatuning. I just started there. But we have had, or Jared has had, pontoon boat rides where you get out on it and you're taking a pontoon boat ride and seeing the eagle's nest. And you know what? If you did this anywhere else, they would charge you like $50 a person to do this. We're doing this for free.
Wait. What do you do? So if I call you up and if I say I want to go out and see, so I could go onto your website and see that there's a pontoon rides that are available or different things that you do. If I thought, man, that'd really be neat to do, I should go out and see the eagles.
Absolutely.
Are there that many out there?
Yes. And you can even, so you don't even have to be on a program. You can call the office and say, I want to know where the eagles are. Do you have a map? We actually do give out a map. You drive to the different places. Now Pymatuning's big, and a lot of the different boat launch areas. And you'll, bring your binoculars, of course. And you can see, the nests, like not totally across the lake, but maybe close across the water. You can see them, and you could almost do your own driving tour to see the eagle nests.
So if I go to the Pennsylvania DCNR?
DCNR.
And I can look at all the different things like that I could possibly do. You have a list of stuff. I mean, seriously, if you leave it up to me, most people wouldn't even know what to ask. So if we can give them something to look at that would let them know. And then you were also available to go to, I always tell people, if you have a community group or a club that needs to know something that has never had someone like you, they need to call you people.
So we do a lot of different things. So we can go to your place, to your community, and do a program. So that's our outreach programming. And I can't even really tell you what all we do. I mean, I was at a church and I did a program about Pennsylvania frogs.
Pennsylvania frogs, come on.
So we don't,
Wait. What would make people want to even come up with that topic? Pennsylvania frogs. How many frogs are there in Pennsylvania?
There's a lot.
Oh my God.
There's a lot of different species of frogs in Pennsylvania.
They should have a whole program with all this stuff.
I do have a whole program about frogs.
Oh my Lord. Pennsylvania
and a whole
frogs.
program about snakes.
No, I'm not interested in that one.
Programs about Pennsylvania turtles. So we don't ever have live animals unless we have a special guest that has all the permits and is licensed in order to have those animals. But we are not licensed. We don't have live animals to bring.
The building that we talked about in the very beginning that I had been to that belongs to the University of Pittsburgh, Fish and
Yes.
Game. Does the DCNR also have a building like that where you are, where people can go in and look at stuff?
No, we have a park office, but we don't have
Displays or anything?
right.
Is there anything in?
we don't have a nature center.
Is there any nature centers in Pymatuning? I don't think there.
We don't have any nature
It'd
centers.
be nice to get that someday.
It would. The Game Commission is working on having their nature center up again at the spillway. They used to have one there. And I don't remember how many years ago it was that they tore that down. They had a nature center, but they are talking about putting another now that's the Game Commission. And then, so there's the Pennsylvania Game Commission, Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission, and then Pennsylvania State Parks. But no, we don't have a nature center, but do we need it? You have the whole park.
Yeah, you can go anytime you want.
Yeah, I mean, you come down, into the park. I mean, there's always a good chance, how many animals that you're going to see at any one given time.
So we want everybody today and everybody that sees this on Armstrong and also on YouTube to go to Pennsylvania DCNR and look under the
Website.
services on your
Right.
website and what services you have. I mean, I'm enthralled by 2 or 3 of the things that you said.
Well, let's say you want to go to Presque Isle, you can look on, that website, Presque Isle, Goddard State Park,
Sure, all
Oil Creek State Park. Those
We're
are
so
the ones
lucky.
closest to us.
Yeah.
And they have so much to offer. And I do think, you're right, like a lot of people, or sometimes people just don't know about it. So we can do outreach programs where we go to you. And that is if our schedule allows. I know the summer is pretty packed. And we have programs that we offer, at the park itself. We also do school group programs.
And you do programs in the winter too, and fall and all that, everywhere.
Yes, Jared does winter programming. So he may have a public, and we do public programs, and we go to all kinds of different places. But so Jared might do a snowshoeing program.
Wow.
In the winter. He might do ice fishing. Come and try hey, I've never been ice fishing, I want to try that. He might do an ice fishing program.
Wow.
I'm going to do, and I don't remember the date, coming up in June, I'm doing a stand-up paddle board demonstration program for the general public.
Where are you doing that? Over Pymatuning and
At Pymatuning.
neat.
And it's going to be close to Jamestown at Beach 2. But hey, I never tried a stand-up paddleboard, and if you want to try it, sometimes you have to pay.
Have you
money.
done it?
Yes. So I'm not an expert at it, but I can learn along with you.
Wow.
It's give you some hints and some tips on how to get started, and you get with the program that I'm giving. And give you about 15 minutes to get out on the water and paddle around, and you just kind of have your demonstration there. You see if you like it.
You told me this would be 20 minutes long. I think it's a lot longer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I can talk.
Thank
Yep.
you very much for coming. I appreciate it. And the skins and all that stuff, the head of the possum and the maps. And thank you very much for coming. I hope people follow through on this.
Yes, and
Got a lot of great ideas.
I do hope so. And anybody could call the park office. You can ask for Jared or me. And if you have questions about anything that I've talked about, go ahead and call. And
Good.
because we want to see you.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yep, thank you.